One of the biggest leadership mistakes is assuming that delegating a task means that you've actually let it go. Hey, Internet friends, it's Joe, and welcome to another episode of Simplify, Focus, Scale. Too often, I see leaders think that, well, I assigned it or I delegated it and somebody else owns it now. But then they check on it constantly. They redo the work, they answer every question, they change the decisions or the direction, and they become the bottleneck anyway. They delegated the task, but they never let go of the responsibility in their own mind, and they never let someone else have the opportunity to own it or be accountable for it. So, delegation is a process, letting go is a mindset. I'm reminded of a time when I was first moving from mid-level management into a senior level role that required more leadership responsibilities and less management. I'd been managing processes for a long time, and I had that realization that I had to stop doing it to help my team. Every time somebody was bogged down or had a question, instead of letting them have a chance of solving it themselves, I would step in and try to do it for them. I had the hero complex that a lot of leaders have. And by doing it, I actually discouraged learning. And I was sending messages to my team sort of subliminally saying that I didn't trust them. And that, the team that had been performing really well for me as a manager actually sort of plateaued and they just stopped improving. And what I learned from that is that leaders need to remember that nobody will ever think exactly like them. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It wasn't that I shouldn't have cared about what was happening. It was that I hadn't created the conditions for someone else to succeed at that level. When I started focusing on efforts to make other people successful and to be able to fill my shoes, everything changed. I stopped saying, can they do it exactly the way I would have? And I started asking questions like, well, do they understand the outcome we're trying to achieve and the parameters that we have to work within? And that is a much healthier question. And that's the way leaders need to think if they want to grow their staff and be able to trust. So remember, everybody, the goal isn't to hand someone a task and then hope for the best. The goal is to build enough trust and clarity that you don't need to take it back. All right, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you see all the new videos that we post every week. And if you'd like to reach out to me, you could have several ways you can do that. You can drop a comment here on YouTube, or you can go ahead and send me a message through the website or any of the social media platforms. You can find all of that information on the site at jpcoachingnow.com. And until then, I look forward to seeing you next week in another edition of Simplify, Focus, Scale.